Only one kid in history had ever attempted what Benny was about to. And he got eaten. So we were worried. Real worried. Even when Benny brought out the secret weapon. Shoes guaranteed to make a kid run faster and jump higher. PF Flyers.
We can't let him do this, man.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy hump day. It's that midweek grind. Mm-hmm. You know, we're here to help you guys suffer through it. We'll get through this together. Mm-hmm. First things first, Blair, how are we feeling?
You know, I'm good. I don't know. A lot of things going on, a lot of things happening. Good, bad, you know. But it's life. You know, we're getting through it.
Gotta roll with the punches.
But like I always say, I mean, I'm alive, so I can't complain too much.
Exactly. God is good. Won't he do it?
Mm-hmm.
So before
that's not even the saying. You making stuff up?
I'm just adding it in, 'cause you know people be like,
okay.
Won't he do it? So we're gonna make our own little slogans here on the Slate Laced podcast. But before we get started into today's review, which is gonna be something, ladies and gentlemen. All right, it's gonna be something. I want to get into the Oscars. So, you know, it happened this weekend. By the time you guys are seeing this, you'll have the results. Everything, the results are in, so we might as well spoil it for you.
I don't even know anything. I just got off work.
Yeah. But
so I don't know nothing.
But you don't watch the Oscars, so you good with the spoil.
No, I'm cool with the spoils, but I mean, like,
you don't know the results, nothing
right,
like that.
Right. I don't even know the movies that were nominated and how many of them we've actually seen.
Exactly. I was going to get into that, too, because this was obviously an awkward year where we kept saying on this podcast we haven't even really been to a theater.
Right. Usually we've seen all the movies that we're in.
Exactly. I ain't seen them now playing, nothing. But we did see one that won big, which is Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh, it did?
Daniel Kaluuya won for that. So shout out to him.
I live for the people.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the people.
And I saw that quote somewhere else.
I said it here first. What you mean? When I said the people, the people, the people.
I saw it somewhere real, though. Yeah, that. And then I think one of the first Asian American women won for that Minari, which I kept seeing buzz about. But I didn't know, exactly what it was. Nah,
the basketball one?
Nah,
coming
it's Boogie,
of age?
but that looks good.
Boogie.
That's Boogie. But that looks good, too. We might have to see that and review it.
Okay. That's in theater right now.
Just kidding. She is the first woman of color. Let's see what nationality she is. I don't want to butcher it before we get started. But yeah, so Judas and the Black Messiah won.
Won what?
I guess they got Best Original Song. I'm looking it up as we go here. Sorry. Let's see what else they got. I know he got an award himself. So let's see. Nomadland looked interesting, but I just didn't.
What did Nomadland win?
They won Best Actress, Frances McDormand.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
she always wins that, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's good. Chadwick Boseman won for Ma Rainey. R.I.P. Chadwick. That was the.
What did he win?
For Ma Rainey with Viola Davis.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was on Netflix. It was a Netflix movie.
Oh, okay.
Anthony Hopkins won for the father. You know, Anthony Hopkins, he gonna get something. If
Clarice.
He's in there. Yeah, hello, Clarice. Shout out to Movie Line Monday. We did that one.
Yes, we did.
Who else won? Winner, okay.
But you know what I want to know?
What? Production design? Who got production? I thought I was going to be what you
won
want.
Best Picture?
Best Supporting Actress. Visual Effects. You know, they got a bunch. Documentaries, Best Short, Animated Film, Best Live Action. Best Director, went to Chloe Zhao. Yeah, she is Asian American, so whew.
She got it for Nomadland, right?
Yeah,
for Nomadland. Yeah, I seen Nomadland.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Was it good?
Nomadland was
It was Nomaddy?
All right, you already know how I feel about those type of movies. The movie is real. You know what I mean? When you watch Nomadland, don't expect to get like a movie full of thrills. Like, don't think you're going to get your typical Hollywood type film. That's not what this is. This movie, I feel like, has a touch of Boyhood in the sense of the realism to it. You know, there's people that are kind of going through what Frances was going through as the character in the film. You know, there's people that are kind of struggling through life, finding like that sense of purpose as like they sort of get older in life, you know? And there's like people like struggling to find jobs and things like that, because it's like, if you're not already at your job and you're like in your mid 50s, you're kind of not really going to get a job. You know what I mean? It's hard to like walk into a Chick-fil-A or to like some type of restaurant and then put an application at that age and think that you're gonna get a job. Now, obviously, there's really more to it than that. But she kind of starts out working at Amazon, and then I was like, dang, she looking like me. But nah, I think it was interesting.
Yeah,
but it is a very, very, very slow burn.
Yeah, I saw like brief, like, you know, not necessarily the whole trailer, but a clip of it, and I was like, okay, it looked like something I wanted to see, but again, I didn't see it in time for anything really special. But yeah, again, shout out Chloe Zhao won for Nomadland. Apologies, I messed that up.
So once you said her name, I was like, oh, okay, I know the movie you're talking about, because I remember her name coming up, and I remember looking her up, and she was Asian and all that. But you didn't hint like you were going in that direction, so I was just like, well, I'm not gonna say anything. But shout out to that movie too, because I do like that type of stuff where you travel and you're kind of like living off the grid and stuff like that. But I mean, it's more to it than than what I'm saying. And the movie is deep. It does make you think. I do recommend people to watch the movie. I'm just giving the disclaimers in the sense of like, it's going to take a while to get to where you want it to go. And it's not going to be the type of movie that really picks up. You know, just giving you that heads up. But I do think that it's one of the movies where you're like, dang, that movie was so slow. Dang, that movie, like, you know, and then you're like, but it was good. Yeah. So that's what this one is.
And then shout out Lee Isaac Chung is the one that did Minari. So sorry about that.
Okay.
But yeah, so the one that we did see was Judas and the Black Messiah, and they cleaned up. Daniel Kaluuya got Best Supporting Actor. And Lakeith Stanfield also got an award for that category as well. He was nominated. Sorry, he was nominated, but okay. Daniel Kaluuya won for Judas and the Black Messiah.
And what they got, Best Picture?
Let's get there. Best Original Screenplay went to Promising Young Woman. That also looked interesting. So no, they did not win.
Who won Best Picture?
Promising Young Woman. I guess it's from what I've seen. I haven't really seen the movie, but I've seen the trailer and clips.
About to have me hot.
It's a woman. I think she's sexually assaulted, and she basically goes on like a revenge kind of fantasy. Well, not a fantasy, because I think she actually is killing these folks. And she's acting like she's drunk in bars and having men pick her up, and before they can like sexually assault her or whatever the deal is, she kind of acts out her revenge. So it's a whole revenge plot. And it looked interesting, but again, I didn't think it would get Oscar nods, that's for sure. But shout out to her. Who's the lead actress in that? That is, nope, go back. We definitely know who she is. She's a big name. Carrie something with a C. Carrie Mulligan. Shout out to my memory. But yeah, so that one. It did look interesting, and I kind of like.
I don't know. I will watch it.
Yeah, I like the kind of take on this revenge, and you know.
I do like that.
Yeah.
I do.
I think it's interesting, and it's
I think that
you know what it might be. Highly rated.
Yeah,
exactly. On originality.
I think it'll get that, but I'm still kind of just like upset. Like I didn't see the movie, so I can't speak on it yet. But I just know, just based off of what you're telling me, I know why it won. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if that's enough. So I'm hoping. But the problem is now I'm gonna be sitting here watching like entertain me, because I'm gonna be mad, like, you know,
with a chip. You're watching with a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
but it's certainly,
you know, shout out to him though.
It looks interesting, and it's probably a unique take. So we'll see. But it's something that I wanted to see along with Nomadland. And, you know, we did see Judas and the Black Messiah, so we got one in there.
Yes, we did.
But like we said, it was a slow kind of year. I didn't really know what was cracking off, so these Oscars came up on us.
I didn't hear that movie till you just said it right now.
Yeah.
So.
It just came up on us quick, but, you know, we glad we got one in there, and we reviewed one for you guys.
Yep.
So we hope you enjoyed that. Shout out to Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield for being nominated. It was a good little film. But guys, it's that time of the evening where we have to get in to today's film. It's a doozy. We are reviewing Deadly Illusions. It is a new, like kind of the latest Netflix film. It's been out for a couple months now, but let me just tell you how this movie came about. I watched it probably like a week and a half after it was released on Netflix, And I was like, all right, someone has to witness this. So that's why I kind of made.
You put me.
That's why I kind of made Blair watch that, because I'm sitting here like, huh. And I was like, we got to review this, and that's why I kind of hinted at last week. I was like, we gonna do something corny.
Oh, that's
Remember
what that was.
Yeah.
I didn't even know where you was going with it. You just
I was
like,
dropping them breadcrumbs because I was like, we gonna get into something real odd,
man,
real quick.
Man, you had me watch that movie. I was like, oh boy.
And you can tell from what we're saying right now, it's a doozy. But first, let me get into the synopsis. Deadly Illusions is after a best-selling novelist suffering from writer's block hires a new nanny for her children, the lines between fiction and reality start to blur. Now, if you're going off that synopsis, this ain't gonna be a bad film. You're like, this is gonna be kind of interesting. Like, I'm reeled in. But before we get fully into that, let's get into some initial thoughts. I'll go first since I know Blair doesn't really have many on that front. When I saw it on the Netflix, Quay, I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Like, I automatically went Lifetime in my head. And, Lifetime it gives you that corniness, but also at the same time, it entertains you. So that's what I thought right away. I'm like, all right, it's going to be a good thing. I'm going to, watch it as I'm folding my clothes and doing my chores for the weekend. Let me just pop this on. I had read the synopsis like I just read to you guys, and I was like, okay, this sounds cool. Like, let's check it out. I know it's not going to be, edge of your seat, but I'm going to be decently entertained. I didn't hear what anyone else was saying as far as social media. I don't follow any of the actors or actresses, so I didn't really know. And I didn't read any of the reviews or check the ratings. So I was going into it like just kind of thinking this is going to be another like kind of Lifetime thriller. But Blair, anything when I recommended it to you just off the name, what?
Nothing. I was just at work, seen it, Deadly Illusions, okay, whatever, right? Yeah. Then sat down, pulled it up on the stick. And then once again, I had the situation where I was watching the first 10 minutes and the name Deadly Illusions didn't pop up. And I was like,
okay, this was on Netflix. You didn't have to go via stick.
These are my initial thoughts, right?
Okay.
So I'm just like, okay, weird. Why is it not coming up? Whatever. So then I tried it again and then found another one. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it's like Netflix. And I was like, oh, all right, well, shoot, forget this. I'm just going to watch it on Netflix then. Yeah. And then I typed it in on Netflix and started watching. And then
chaos commenced, huh?
Yeah.
So it's definitely an interesting one. I think you guys can kind of hear from our tone where we're leaning. But on that case, we got to just dive right in and get to the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're starting with the bad and the ugly.
You don't want to start with the good?
We start with the bad and the ugly today.
Okay, let's do
it. Blair, I'm going to let you kick it off.
The movie was terrible.
Without spoiling, too, just so you know. But yeah.
Yeah, the movie. Oh, we're not spoiling. Okay. Yeah, the movie was awful. I was watching this and I was just like, dang, what are we doing here? Like I was just like, wow, this is what we're watching. Okay. And you know me, I like to run it back and watch it 2, 3, 4, 5 times and stuff. And it was just like, I was like, I don't even know how I can do a second time with this one. So the bad, there really is a lot of bad. Man. Yeah. So I mean, for me, the movie was unclear.
Yeah.
And it
There's
wasn't
some plot holes and some gaps.
It was just so a lot of this is tough. I'm trying to be positive about this film, but it's really hard to be positive about this film. But all right, so from a filmmaker standpoint, they always tell you, like show, don't tell, right? It just reads better if you're able to show the audience, essentially like what a character is going through. You don't need to necessarily tell it. So with that being said, one of the problems with this film is they tell you everything rather than showing you. So it's like I remember there was a strain in, I guess, the relationship, which is weird because to me watching this movie, it felt like softcore porn, right? There was so much sex in this movie, even between the husband and wife in this film, right? That all of a sudden, and I don't think this is spoiling it, but like around midway through the film, they hint at like they're not having sex anymore. And I'm like, weird. Because I've seen in almost every scene they've had sex. But this is a moment where you need to show that this is no longer happening. This is no longer something that is going on within the film, right? And I'm just like, but this, it was told. It was literally a conversation that was had between two people in the film, and I'm like, what? Oh, wait, there's a strain in the relationship right now. This is news to me. I didn't even know that there was an issue. I didn't even know that they weren't having sex, because last time I checked, 2 scenes prior, they were. You know
that
what I mean?
goes to show all these plot holes and gaps. And
right. And this
stuff
is just like surface level, because I wasn't even digging deep. This is just like right off the top. This is fresh on my mind, because again, it's probably been like 4 or 5 days now since I've seen it.
Yeah.
But that was like one of the things where I'm like, what? Why? Since when? Since when? And then I think another thing that is just, so she's having these illusions, but then it's getting to the point where, again, like it's in the description that it's getting blurred, but it's getting blurred so much where we're like, we don't even know what's reality anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's not that like clever creating dream sequences, making you feel like you're watching some like really mysterious movie. It's just like, nah, you're just confused. You just don't know what's going on, and at this point in time, you don't care.
Yeah, but to some extent, like following up on that, to some extent, you need to let the audience in on what's happening. We was really watching like, okay, so did that happen, or was that not happen? But really, what happened?
What's going on?
So I get that too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then another thing is like, runtime, the film's not long. I think it's only an hour.
No, it was quick.
It's an hour and 54 minutes. But I'm gonna say for about an hour and 30, nothing's happening. Like you don't understand. You don't really get anything. And then in the final 20, all of a sudden she's on investigative work, and I'm like, okay, the movie's almost over. Are you serious? You're doing investigative work now? Mm-hmm. In this type of film, when the way the stuff is unfolding, the
rising action,
right? The rising action is literally hitting in the final 10 minutes. Nah, we needed to run that back 15, 20 minutes prior. Matter of fact, because now if you do it that way, the film is not even an hour and 54 minutes. Now the movie's like an hour and 30. But the thing is that the runtime isn't even long, but it's long because the film is so bad. And so the rising action and all of that type of stuff is happening way too late into the film. The audience has already checked out. Another issue is just the movie is not real at all. And again, you understand, you watch a comedy, stuff's not real, right? You watch a animated movie, it's not real, right? But there's just things that happen that are just so far-fetched that you're just like, there's just no way, this could never happen. Like the bathroom scene at the end, oh my gosh, it's just like, it's weird because it gets so bad to where lines seem forced, which is weird because all of them have been in movies before, where like if you watch them in those movies, you're just like, okay, they can deliver lines. Yep. So why can we no longer deliver lines in this film? What transpired that allowed that like has you reading lines so poorly? It's just bad on all fronts. I mean, it's just from beginning to end, it's bad. Relationships that build between characters are bad. It's just like all of a sudden there's relationships that you didn't even realize that there was gonna be a relationship. There's a thing that's called foreshadowing, right? Everyone's aware of what foreshadowing is, right? Because you watch that and you understand that even by like 12 years old. You see what I'm saying? But there's no foreshadowing at all in this film. So it's like when something happens, I think that they did it for a shock and awe type thing, to like really just like slap you in the face and be like, oh wow, that's really going on. But it was like at this point where you're just like scratching your head and you're just like, what? Why are they doing this? But I think the biggest thing that bothers me and messes up this whole film is just that things were not clear by the 3-week mark that happens in the film. They hit you with the like 3 weeks later. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even seem like that type of film where it's going to be like a 3 weeks later type of, it doesn't even seem like it's going to be that type of film. But by the time that line hits at the bottom, 3 weeks later, you're like, what? And so when 3 weeks later happens, everything has been flipped upside down, and so we are now confused. We don't know what's going on, but the problem is that we were also confused prior. And then we seem to get really no sense of clarity until, again, like 5 minutes left into the film. And then all of a sudden you realize that people have issues, you know, because obviously I'm not trying to spoil it, but they have issues, and you're just like, oh, wow, this is the type of film it's going to be? Okay, wow, okay. And then then it just becomes so over dramatic as well once we see that there's an issue. Like within that bathroom scene is just atrocious. I know I've been going on for a while, but it's like there's a lot of bad going on here. I was watching at one point and I was like, this is definitely by far the worst film I've seen this year and last year and the year before that, like without a doubt. Like it's
up there.
It takes there's nothing even close. This is probably for sure like top 10 worst movies I think I've ever seen. It is in there. It's in there somewhere.
It's a rough one.
But it's just, man. And then even the ending, like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. That's the end. That's what you. It's not even because see, there's a borderline between, like I said, confusing us and being clever. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? There's like, I get it, like you're like trying to outsmart your viewer and things like that, but at the end, that's not even outsmarting us. That to me, that's just like a cop out. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you didn't outsmart us on this one. And yeah, I would rather watch paint dry than run it back.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. How did you feel about that ending? Seriously.
I want to get into my cons first. We'll get back to the ending. Let me throw some names at you guys, all right? Kristen Davis.
Yeah.
If that name sounds familiar, it should, because she is one of the stars of Sex and the City.
Yeah,
which means she has been acting for how many years?
A very long time.
About 40. Yeah. Let me throw another name at you. Dermot Mulroney. Mm-hmm. How many films have you seen this man in? Several. Mm-hmm. Several thrillers, hard-hitting dramas. He's been a part of it. Let me give you another one. Shanola Hampton, from one of my favorite TV shows, Shameless. Mm-hmm. She's also producing this. Mm-hmm. Take your name off it, girl. She is producing it. Take your name off it.
Her and the other girl.
But let me go ahead and tell you why I bring these names up. These are what we call veterans of the industry.
Yes, we do.
This was the worst acted film I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm looking at Kristen like, girl, I can get out there and deliver these lines, like you were saying, way better than you are right now. Where did it go? Did you just come on set, bump your head, and start acting? Mm-hmm. I thought this was her first film.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the lady that delivered the rom-com?
Yeah.
Sex in the City?
Yeah.
With Sarah Jessica Parker and such?
Sarah J.
Come on.
J. Parker.
It was so bad. Grammer, whoever this girl is, give it up. Give it a rest. The little blonde girl. You're done.
Yeah, well, that's what they both produced.
Oh, Greer was on it too? This must be her daughter or something. Because she called in a favor. Because Greer needs to hang it up. And I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if you see this. But what was that? The acting was abysmal. And that is the biggest con. I mean, they had heavy hitters playing down.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. So, guys, I'm noting this, and I wanted to shout out those names and what they've been in because it was bad. Shanola Hampton can act. Mm-hmm. And on here, she was just like the fluffy sidekick.
Yeah, she was.
With a weird demise.
Yeah, I mean, even how all of that transpires.
Yeah, a weird demise.
Yeah.
And I was just in shock by the level of acting I was seeing. And then for, people with money to, like, I guess not put enough money up for this film. Because this was poor.
It was like they didn't even read the script. They didn't
read it. They just threw their money at it as a way to make some cash during quarantine. We got a little too stagnant, and people was like, I need to make some money fast, and they put out this hot garbage because this acting was bad. And when I say bad, it was rough. Now we're getting to the ending, like Blair said.
But you're right though. Stuff just never made sense though. Like, her death didn't make sense. None of it made sense. But yeah.
Another one of my cons was the end, which was a huge cop out. And they try to, instead of tying it up gradually, let's just put it in a bow at the end. Like, at the last 3 minutes, this is what happened. Like, because that's literally what we found out. Like, we found out what it was, and then they finished it.
Yeah.
They, instead of piecing it together throughout and giving us clues, they just decided to put a little bow on it in the last 3 minutes. That's not the way you close up a film. The way the movie ended was 100% what I expected going in. I was like, okay, it's going to be a psychological thriller.
Oh, okay.
I knew that.
Okay.
But I thought, again, they would, give us some breadcrumbs. Play a little Hansel and Gretel here so we can figure it out. But no, they just decided to tie up in a bow. But honestly, that ending was cheap and it was a cop-out. They could have done a lot more with this film, but obviously not a lot of thought went into it. They could have done a lot more with that dynamic between the nanny and then the struggling writer and her husband. They could have done a lot more with that triangle.
Well, that's what's crazy, right? Like, if you just think about the film as a whole, I can literally just be like, okay, I know that they all had sex. That's one thing that happened. She was working on the book. That's one thing that happened. That's about it, right? Like, before we get towards that end and we find out what we find out, that's literally all that happens in each and every single scene.
And then,
like, be real. What happens in each and every single scene? That's really about it.
Yeah, I think they try and build up the relationship.
There was no build up.
They try and build up this relationship dynamic between this nanny and the writer, but it just doesn't work. You're just like awkwardly looking at the screen, like, and it just, honestly, they just make the viewers uncomfortable. That's all they did, because I think they were trying to like play it up and make it saucy and sexy, but you're just like, this is disturbing. Yeah. And that's all it was. It was a poor execution. Like Blair said, I think they tried, but they just failed. And as far as the husband goes, I feel like that, just take whatever he was dealing with out of the equation, because they threw a little nugget in with his problem and then never touched on it again.
What was his problem? Oh, yeah. Wow, I forgot about that.
Exactly, because they didn't tie it into the story in any way. They just gave us a plot point and they never...
You thought it was going to lead to something. I forgot. Yeah, it was said about 15 minutes into the film, and then we never heard about it.
Never heard of it. I guess that was good. All's good in the hood. Like, we don't know what's going on. Then the same thing with the same thing with the second book deal. It was just a lot of things that were touched on.
Yeah.
The two agents, the literary agents there, like, one seemed like she was going to be a player, like a major player in the film, and then she kind of disappeared, because remember, she was coming at her all crazy. Before they wrote. It was weird. It was weird dynamics. It was plot points that they threw at us that we did not see through. So it was just all around very sporadic. It was a very sporadic film. You try to figure out what's going on, what's real and what's not. And I understand that is the point of the film. Literally, they say lines are blurred between fact and fiction, but you got to give us something to latch onto.
Yes,
you got to give us a foundation, because I had no idea. I'm like, okay, so did this not happen? Did this not happen? What's going on? Was she really just drunk and passed out? Or so it's a whole bunch of nonsense and nonsensical stuff.
It's one of those movies that you feel like she just sat down. So the writer sat down one night and was just like, I'm gonna write whatever the heck comes into my head, and that's how it's gonna go, and I'm not gonna fix it. And she just started writing, and then she got to the end and was like, bam, there we go. Because it was like there was just so many things that never got addressed. It looked like as if it never got proofread. It looked as if it never just ran into some other people's eyes for confirmation that it was heat. It just, man.
Well, with that said, though, it's time to get to the good. It sounded like you may have had something, Blair, when it comes to the good.
Well, I did want to say one of the things that I just noticed also when I was watching, I thought was funny is because the movie was so bad that there was no attention to detail, that, like, did you see the scene when they were working out in the gym? Your girl was doing leg extensions, and she didn't even put the lap bar down. Like, she literally had the lap bar sitting all the way up here. And she was still kicking it. But I was like, what is it? The thing's not even down. And then the other girl was doing like the bench press thing. And literally had like, it was on the end. It had no weight. It was nothing. I was like, wow, this is where we're at. Okay.
They're moving that far.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the good was, I think, is that it was short. Although it felt long as a time frame, It wasn't really that long. It was good. It was short and sweet, short and sour maybe. But yeah. So I think a positive is that it was short, and then another positive I would say was I did like the house, the
architecture.
The architecture was cool.
Little set design. You know?
I like that they were able to accomplish it by staying pretty much in one location the whole film. They only had about maybe 4 total locations, maybe 4, and there was a few where they were only there once, where she like made her drive was one. Yeah, I mean the hospital was like 2, not many. So I like that they were able to be like, look, we can make this as low budget as possible and get the job done. Yeah, and that's
pretty much it for you.
That's about it. That's about all I can give. But
yeah, it's certainly hard to come up with some positives for this one. I mean, don't watch this film, but if I'm going positive, I mean, honestly, I didn't check the time. So I'll say maybe it was so bad that it was like a car crash that you couldn't look away. So it was that kind of thing where I was kind of locked in just off how bad it was. And I'm like, where are they about to go with this? Like, what's going on? So I guess that was it, that I was decently entertained by how bad it was. But that's as far as I can take it as far as positives. And I mean, real quick, going back to some of the bad and the ugly, like I said, the ending was a cop-out. They definitely went with something that was like ripped from the headlines not too long ago. And it was funny how they pretty much plagiarized exactly something that has happened in real life and put that as the ending. But yeah, once you guys see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But no, it was nuts. Don't watch this film. I mean, it's so bad. It's a train wreck. You might be locked in, but as far as getting something stimulating from this movie, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, you're not getting it with this one.
There was literally, I was like reading some of the reviews after the fact, and somebody wrote just "ha," like straight up as their review. Someone said they signed up for an account just to write "Do not watch this." They said I never comment. So it's a doozy, and it's a doozy across the board.
What's funny too is what's her name from Sex and the City?
Kristen Davis.
Yeah, she was saying, and I knew her name, but I was saying like, what's her name? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, in the show? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no. But you know how you just be like, yeah, what's her name? Like as you continue on with what you were saying. Yeah. But yeah, so she went and said on the internet, she was like, yeah, everybody's a critic, you know, everybody's got their own opinion and gonna say something, but it doesn't necessarily make it true. And then I was just laughing because I was like, I know what you mean by that, but the movie
doesn't apply to this one.
Right, the movie really was bad though.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Maybe your other bodies of work. Yeah.
You know, everybody does have something to say. Sometimes it is negative, but straight up, it was bad. That's it. That's about it.
And I would love to see people that enjoy this defend this. Come tell me why you liked it. I would really love to know. I don't think there's
anybody that liked the movie, though.
Yeah, I don't think so. And on that note, let's get into these ratings. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 9%. So that is about completely rotten, and that's about where it belongs. And the people of IMDb went ahead and gave it a young 3.6. So, again, no one's feeling this film. If you got it, drop it in the comments. Let us know what you're feeling and why you liked it. Straight up, don't watch this. But Blair, let's get into the only rating that matters, the Slate rate. Blair, 1 to 5, entertainment.
So I've been thinking about this for a while, because I'm trying to be like, look, you gotta receive something just because you put something out there, right? Just because it simply exists, you have to give it something. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a half.
You had to go with the 0.5, huh?
I didn't even want to give it a point.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we do zeros? Let's decide that.
But my thing is that like because it exists, right?
Yeah.
Like say I just took a camera and just started shooting and ran around and did this, and that, and threw it out there, right? Like it has to. It exists.
So we can't
got
give it a
finished.
0. All right.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'll give
no zeros on the Slate Laced.
Yeah. So it exists. So
young 0.5. All right.
0.5.
What you got on the originality?
Oh, it's 0.5.
0.5. Okay. All right.
Because again, when a film is original and you still have to execute it.
Yep. And we just talked about the end.
Yeah,
but again,
I'm saying in the sense of even if it's original, it has to be executed.
Also, I guess art imitates life, so it's not like we can be like, oh, you completely ripped it off. So, but yeah, like what you're saying. All right, so you got it out of straight up 1 out of 10. For entertainment, I'm going to be a little more generous than Blair because, again, it's not something where I was checking the time like, ooh, Lordy B, like, let's get out of here.
Man, it took me 2 days to watch the film. I didn't realize I didn't even tell anybody that. It took me 2 days. I couldn't finish it. I watched it the first night and was like, man, I can't do it. I literally had to pause it, go to bed. I gave up. I literally gave up, Sydney. I could not finish the film.
It wasn't that rough to me.
I'm serious. I couldn't finish it. Within 40 minutes of the film, I paused it and was like, I will come back tomorrow. It wasn't even like I didn't even finish the scene. Like they were in mid-sentence. Like I was like, I can't pause. Done for the night. I'll come back.
It wasn't that rough to me. Of course, I think it was a horrible film, but it wasn't like to that extent. I got it at a 2 on entertainment. I'm gonna go 2.
That's generous.
And that was honestly for the first like 15 to 20 minutes. Because didn't it look like low-key in the first 15 minutes it was going to be something?
No, it didn't.
To me, it looked like it was like built. You're like, okay, like it's building.
No, I didn't think it was building towards anything.
I thought it was building up towards something. Like the first 15 minutes, I was like, okay, we getting into it. Like she's like, I got to write this book and I got to hire this nanny because I need to be in complete isolation. I'm like, all right, what's about to crack off? And it literally went nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. So I'm giving it those points for the first 15 to 20, being real generous.
Nah, I knew by 20 minutes it was straight garbage. I knew it was not anything. I'm
being real generous because I really felt I was like, okay, let's warm up these muscles. But yeah, it's tough. And as far as originality goes, again, it felt very Lifetime-y, so I can't say it's super original. I feel like we've seen this nanny kind of storyline coming in, taking over the kids, lines getting blurred, seduction, all that kind of stuff. We've seen it. I'm going to go... I got to go 2.
Wow, I'm done.
I'll give it a 4 out of 10. That's for me.
I'm done.
Yeah, it just wasn't.
I'm
it was
done. I don't got nothing more
horrible.
to say. You gave it a 4 out of 10. I'm done.
I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. Blair, let's make it loud and clear. I think we did. Do we recommend? No? I don't recommend it either.
You gave it a 4.
Yeah, but that's just the rating. I've said since we started this podcast, I don't watch the movie.
I'm done. The fact that you gave it a 4 is disrespectful. I'm done.
That's my rating. I gotta call it how I see it. I gotta be fair. I can't come, biased and all that. It's me. It's how it made me feel. I was like, look, the first 15 minutes, it felt like it was gonna do something, and I honestly wasn't that bored. I didn't check the time. It wasn't Rebecca where I'm sitting looking out. Woo! Like, where are we at?
Are you kidding me right now? You basically saying this was better than Rebecca?
It was entertainment. I guess so. Because Rebecca was about to jump off a cliff.
Rebecca had a storyline, Sydney.
Barely.
Wow. Okay.
This one, look, the storyline was there, but did it make sense? No. But it had something. It was more entertaining than Rebecca, in my opinion, yes. Rebecca was like about one of the worst films. I'm Thinking of Ending Things was probably one of the worst I've seen, too. Blair, anything before we wrap?
No.
Any movie we gonna see next? I have a couple in mind, but you? There's a couple new hitters to Netflix that we might check out. So stay tuned for that. There's a new comedy out that I might want to check out. That's relatively new, and a couple other things. Again, we got to get back to our quick reviews. We'll try and get that done. But that is it, man. Follow us at Slate Laced, all one word on Instagram. It is the Slate Laced Gang. We out.